morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. Um, Number one, on Friday, I received a telephone call saying that my appointment for the diabetic eye screening has been canceled. So that means that I won't be able to make a video on Monday about my diabetic eye screening. But on Friday night, I watched a movie on YouTube called Flowers in the Attic. And I watched that movie precisely because I read the book Flowers in the Attic about 45 years ago. And so when I saw that they had made the book into a movie, I wanted to actually see the movie. But the thing is this Flowers in the Attic, that was written by Victoria Andrews, I believe, or V.C. Andrews, I believe. And it's very dark. It's a very dark book. So, but I went ahead and read it, and it was a series. So the first book was Flowers in the Attic, and then there were other books after the first book, and they were all very dark. And I didn't read the last book. I think by that time I got a little bit tired of reading all these books, but some people may very well have read every single book in the series. So Flowers in the Attic was the movie that they made from the book Flowers in the Attic. And what I want to do is I want to give a movie review about this movie that I saw on YouTube. So you can see the movie on YouTube, and I even told my sister about the movie and recommended that she watch the movie. But it was about, and I think when I read the book 45 years ago, I was like 18 or 19 or 20. So I didn't have a full understanding of all of the really sinister aspects of the book. But it was about this woman that when she was a girl, she hooked up with her uncle, and she ran off with her uncle, and they had children. So they had a boy and a girl, and then twin boy and girls. So the boy and the girl maybe 15 or 16, and then the twin boys and girls, I think maybe they were like 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. And then so they were a really happy family. But it started out from the very beginning that this girl said the father knew that she knew she was the father's favorite because the father would go buy her presents and things. And so again, as an adult watching that movie, I can see that the father was grooming her because the father hooked up with his niece. So he obviously didn't have a problem with hooking up with family members. So when the girl got older, the insinuation was that he was going to hook up with the daughter too. But that's so as an adult watching the movie, I could see that there was a lot more going on in this movie than I had saw beforehand. And so this father, who also was an uncle and a great uncle, had died. I don't know if it was a car accident or whatever, but he died. And so the mother didn't have anywhere to go, so she decided that she was going to go back to the family. And this family was really wealthy. And so this family was really wealthy. And so they went back to the family, and they had to walk in the middle of the night to the house, and nobody collected them. So they had to, from the train station or wherever, so they had to walk with all of their belongings to this house. And then when they went to the house, the children were taken to a room at the top of the house, and the children were told that they had to stay there and not make any noise. And the mother went along with it, and the grandmother was really nasty. The grandmother was holding a Bible, and she was really nasty to them. And the grandmother told them that they were the product of sin, that that the uncle had hooked up with their daughter, and the grandfather, the mother's father, was not going to know that they were there, that he was never going to be told that they were there, that they had to stay there. And so they just thought that the grandfather was sick, and when he died, that they'd be able to go back and live their life normally. But that's not what happened. They left them upstairs in their attic. They were allowed from that room. There was an attic in that room, so they were allowed to go up into the attic and play and do whatever they wanted to do up into the attic. And that's why the book was entitled Flowers in the Attic. But this grandmother was really nasty, and she cut the girl's hair off, made her look, cut her hair off. And then one time when they got in a fight, she went a whole week without feeding them. So they went a whole week with no food. And what transpired, what they found out later, was the little twin boy was getting sicker and sicker. And then so they told the mother, they said, "You got to do something. This twin boy's sicker. He needs to go to the hospital." And so the mother said, "Oh, well, we're taking him to the hospital." Well, of course he wasn't taken to a hospital. And what they did was they had a workman. It showed a workman, and he was digging graves in the property because it was a very big property. And when he was digging graves, he dug 4 graves. And there were 4 children. So you didn't really have to use your imagination very much to realize that those children, it was never intended that they would leave the house alive. And then so one time the boy tried to escape, but they had dogs. And so if the boy tried to escape, they had dogs, and the dogs would chase him. And so the boy couldn't escape, and the girl couldn't escape, and the twin children definitely couldn't escape. And the twin boy had expired already. They had already used one of those graves for him. So there were 3 graves left. There were 3 big holes in the property. So 3 big holes left. So you got the impression when you watched the movie, you realized that the intention was that they were not going to leave that house alive. And in all this time, that they were getting sicker and sicker, and they had a pet rat, and the pet rat died, and the boy was looking it up in some book that he'd found, and that he realized that the rat had been poisoned. Well, the rat was eating the food that the children had been given to eat. So that's when they realized that they were being poisoned. And then so all this time, because the mother wasn't going to see them, the mother was living her life. She was living her life. And the mother wasn't going to see them. And she was going to get married. I think it was to a lawyer that she was going to get married to. And then so the boy could sneak out and find out what was happening in the house. And the boy realized one time there was a big party, and at this big party, this lawyer gave the mother an engagement ring. And so the boy was really upset about that. And then they realized that there was going to be another big party. And this big party was going to be a wedding, because this lawyer, I believe it was a lawyer, was going to marry the mother. Well, and then so the boy and the girl said, "Well, we're just going to walk out through the front door because there's a big party." And he said, "Well, she said, "Well, how are you going to do that?" And he said, "Well, because the party's going to be a wedding." And so when all this was going on, they snuck out, and looked in the grandfather's bedroom, and they found the grandfather's will. The grandfather's will said that the mother couldn't have any children. If she had any children, that she would lose everything. And if it transpired after she'd gotten everything, that she had children, and they found out that she had children, that she would lose everything too. So they went to this wedding, and the boy and the girl and the young toddler, they followed the mother into the wedding, and the daughter confronted the mother, and she said, "We're your children." And the mother said, "No, you're not my children. They're just playing a prank. You're not my children. You know I don't have any children." And then the girl took this piece of cake or whatever, obviously that had been laced with arsenic, and she gave it to her mother. She said, "This is your wedding present." She said, "Here, eat this." Well, of course, the mother didn't want to eat it, because the mother knew that the food had arsenic in it, because the mother was putting arsenic in the food. So the mother knew that they were being poisoned. And so the daughter and the mother got in a fight, and the mother fell through a balcony or something like that. And so they didn't say what happened to the mother, but the boy and the girl and the little girl, they did actually get to walk out of that house through the front door. And so what happened was, that was the end of that movie and the end of that first book. But in the subsequent books, it talks about what the boy and the girl did, and the little girl did, after they left the house. And so the girl worked and put the boy through medical school. I don't know if that would be possible now, because everything's so expensive now. I don't know if she would be able to work and put him through medical school, but that's what she did in the book. And if you read the series of books, it's written by V.C. Andrews or Victoria Andrews, and the first book is Flowers in the Attic. If you read the series of the books, you'll realize that the boy and the girl actually hooked up. Because the thing is they had gone through this really traumatic experience, and because they had gone through this really traumatic experience, I think that they were the only two people that they could be around. And I think that the girl had children, but I don't know if they were children from the boy or children with somebody else, because it was such a long time ago that I read the book that I can't be quite sure. And then I think in another book, the mother came in another book where she was trying to make friends with the girl's children, and the girl didn't want that. The girl did not want her mother to have anything to do with her children after what she had done. And then it talks about that. And then the very last book, I didn't read the last book, so I can't tell you what happened. Maybe I should, now that I've done this movie review and book review. Maybe I should read the last book and see what happened, but it probably would be hard to get a copy of it. So that concludes this movie review and book review. So if you're interested, the movie is on YouTube. It's called Flowers in the Attic, and the book was written by V.C. Andrews, or I believe Victoria Andrews, but it was definitely Andrews. And if you're interested in really dark subjects, dark dysfunctional family subjects, then that's a good book to read and a good movie to watch. And it was 45 years ago that I read these books. And when I finished the book, it left me very disturbed. And I told my boyfriend that I was very disturbed about it, because I had to leave my home, when I was about 16. And because my mother was totally out of control. She never poisoned me that I know of, but I'm sure if she thought she could get away with it, she would have done it. And so I told my boyfriend, I said, well, quite disturbed by this movie, and that's why I had to leave my mother's house, because she was totally out of control. And if I didn't leave, she probably would have done something really bad. And I was speaking to my sister, and my sister said that, yeah, my sister just agreed that my mother was totally out of control. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video. I've talked long enough about the movie and my personal circumstances. So if you like my video, please like and subscribe. And I'll be making another video for you next week when I have my scan, my x-ray. I don't know what kind of x-ray it is, but when I have my x-ray. So thank you so much again for watching my video, and I'll be making more videos for you soon.